Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey? Hi, I am Sharon Kumara, host of Awakened Soul. By tuning into Awakened Soul Radio, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. Each episode, I share stories and lessons learned that help cultivate greater compassion, patience, and understanding, qualities to embody in everyday life. I invite you to join in as we expand our awareness, exploring diverse topics, and gain access to practical tools, guided exercises, and expert advice to help overcome fears and break the chains that bind us. Join us on Awakened Soul. Your journey to freedom and true self begins here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awakened Soul Radio. I am your host, Sharon Sananda Kumara, and I am the author of Awakened Soul, my near-death journey home through Christ's infinite love, where I share the story of my 2001 near-death, where I was met by Christ again. I remember that I also had one when I was 9. During that process of remembering this one. And it's a wild ride where I share my journey afterwards. And today I am super excited because I am talking with Krystal Parry. Hello, Krystal.
Hi, Sharon. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's so nice to talk to you because we're I would say kindred souls on a similar type of path. You're also an author and you're a psychic medium, which I am too, and how we became aware of our needed journey, maybe, I'm not sure, but our awakening, our soul awakening, if I can use that phrase.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you about your journey thus far and how we can help people on their journey and to be able to tune into their intuition and their unique gifts and abilities, because you wrote a book called Trusting Your Intuition and Connecting to Your Spirit, which is really, really big. So if you don't mind starting a little bit about a little synopsis about how you became this journey, how you found yourself on this path right here.
A left turn somewhere, I think. I'm just teasing. I first of all, number one, out the gate, I believe everybody is psychic. They can be a medium. They can work on the skills and develop it. Mm-hmm. I did not become a medium until about 6.5 years ago, where Spirit said, this is now your next journey. But it wasn't awakened in me till an adult. I knew as a child I had special abilities, but I didn't know what those were. I knew that I had a knowing all the time of things that would happen. And now I do know that to be claircognizant. I would go to school and just say, oh, my teacher's not coming today, or my friend's not coming today. I would know things in advance, precognition, those sorts of things. But I had no idea. I thought everyone had that. So never mentioned it, didn't bring it up. It wasn't until later in life. And I think you really need experiences in life, whether that's through relationships or coworkers or friends, to learn different things, to have these experiences to go, oh, I trusted myself and acted on that, or I trusted myself, but that was the wrong choice, sort of thing. So it just kind of built from there. I got into Reiki, Usui Reiki, about 11.5 years ago. And that kind of just opened the doors for me. I guess I gave myself permission and allowed myself to open up as well. I wasn't afraid of it. And it's just been a gentle ride. I find it to be beautiful. So that kind of opened me up, and mediumship came a little bit later.
A gentle ride. That's kind of the opposite of mine. But I'm glad that your ride was gentle, because I wouldn't wish the quickening that I went through, but that I had to go through basically in order to wake myself up, because I can relate to being a sensitive and psychic child as well. But it scared me when I talked to my parents or my grandparents about it. They're like, no, being raised Catholic, right? No, that's not happening. So I pushed it down. Did you have any type of experience like that when you were a child?
I never expressed it. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my friends. It was just always a solid knowing. And I knew every single time and I was accurate. So I learned to trust it. Things came very easy because I had the knowing. I can even say I knew the answer to pop quizzes, even if I didn't study. I just had a knowing. And if I
Yeah.
acted in the moment, I was always accurate. If I delayed or if I questioned it or if I got in my head, that's when things went south.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I teach about intuition. When you go with your very first thought or feeling or sensing or seeing, we'll talk about the clairs later, but when you go
Hmm.
with the first reaction, that's always the answer. That's always the channel coming in from spirit. Here's your answer, dear. Here's your answer, dear. Yet our ego gets in and says, that can't be so, you know.
Definitely. And it usually what I find is that when you have that first intuition, it's more of a softer intuition. It's not something that's real loud, like the ego likes to be real loud, the lower mind. And so that's why it makes it, I understand, and what I've heard from people, it makes it more difficult maybe to trust it because it's a
Very,
subtle thing.
very. I call it a quiet nudging because
Mm.
if something is built for you or meant for you, it will keep nudging you over and over again until you finally do the thing. Maybe marry the person or take a new job or quit your old job or get divorced or whatever. It will nudge you and nudge you and nudge you until you're like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. I think that's why my awakening was so intense, is because I kept ignoring all the nudges. We tend to do that, don't we? So I had to
100%.
get run over by a trailer, you know? So yeah. And, I just joke about it now because I joke about how hard headed I was. That couldn't die. They couldn't kill me. It couldn't kill me, not they, but it couldn't kill me. Um, but yeah, that's trusting your intuition is really big for humanity, for humans, because and I'm sure you know this, and you witnessed with your clientele and just looking out on in the world, that that's something that trust has been diminished, and we tend to listen more to outside of ourselves rather than our own tuition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's societal programming, and I think we don't know any other way. And
Yeah.
honestly, that's why I think experiences help us. The older we get, the wiser we get. We have to have those experiences to know, oh, well, I feel differently than you, or I have a different opinion than you. You don't really know this as a child. You're listening to what your parents are saying and the family around you and your teachers, and that's all you know and trust. I mean, the first 7 years, you're in a whole different side of your brain. You're on autopilot.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I agree with you. I believe that we're all sensitive and psychic and mediums as children. And depending on our circumstances and our, you know, culture or whatever, that it gets programmed out of us.
Yeah, 100%. And I talk about that in my book. It kind of starts around age 5 or 6 when we go to school. And what I mention is, let's say little Johnny goes to school and he's just playing trucks and banging two trucks together. And the teacher starts saying, little Johnny, you're so good at math. You're so good at math. He goes to the next grade. You're so good at math. Goes to the next grade. Continuously telling him one thing. You're so good at math. You get good grades. You're good at sports. Whatever that might be, a label. Now, when that child graduates from high school, this is all I know. I know that I'm good at math. I know that because I haven't listened to my intuition. I know what I have been labeled. Once we get out of school, I start seeing my clientele, usually around 19, honestly. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I don't know what to do with my life because they haven't listened. That's all. I try to bring people back to themselves. Let's listen. What is it you always wanted to do? I give you permission to listen to yourself. you know
Yeah.
it's programmed out of us, and it's not because our parents were bad. They were programmed too. Their grandparents were programmed too. Great grandparents were programmed too. We did the system. This is what we know. But unlearning that takes a little bit of work, and once you have the skills, you'll never go back. You'll listen to
So,
your soul.
and I find that when we don't listen, we end up regretting it. I
Yes.
can't think of a time when I
Yes,
haven't.
we do. Every time I can tell you clients that have got to the altar and said, I know I'm not supposed to marry this person, but they do it anyway. And they knew
Yeah.
and they regret it. Or buy a car. How about it? How many times I get a car, really, really like it, but I don't know. It don't feel right, but I'm going to buy it anyway. And then it's a lemon, you know,
Mhm.
all the choices that we make every day, day after day, you're getting the answer and you're talking yourself out of it with your ego.
Yeah. Yeah. And the ego's about fear.
Yes,
The lower
100%.
mind. Yeah, totally.
And I find that it's based on other people's experiences. That fear isn't maybe something you've ever lived through. It's someone else's fear saying, you shouldn't do this. You can't spend your money. You shouldn't travel. You should blank, 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 right? But it came generationally. It wasn't just you.
Hmm.
I haven't experienced all the things that great grandfather did during the Depression, and he was broke. So he had to save all his money and all the things. Yet that fear resides in me because I was told and I was shared the stories of poverty or pain or whatever it might be, right? It's all generational. And once we start looking at things differently, like, oh, I have an opinion, I can change my trajectory and for my children.
Right. Totally. For our legacy. Yeah. And I do past life soul retrieval work. And I do believe, and tell me what your thoughts on this. I do believe that we do carry soul memory of our own experiences, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
that perhaps we lived in poverty in some lifetime and we carry that, or any kind of fear or program, that we can carry that into another lifetime if it wasn't, if we didn't heal it in a previous life experience. Does that make sense to you?
100%. And then you would be born into a family that still has that fear. Maybe it's something you
Right.
need to overcome. So I
Right.
have this experience that's in my soul. Now I'm in this family with the generational stuff that's still in my soul, and now it's my time to become triumphant and get out of this and become successful and get out of this, that sort of thing. It's all teaching us something.
Hmm.
You said about soul retrieval in the lifetimes we've lived. You can probably testify to this. How many people have you sat in front of, and you can just tell they're a very old soul
Oh yeah.
if they're a young person. You just know, wow, you have had so much happen and so much energy is with you versus a young soul that's here to learn and hasn't experienced life so much.
Hmm. Yeah. I always remember Dolores Cannon. You know who she is?
Uh-huh.
Dolores Cannon. That's her name, right? The author.
Mhm.
Okay. She, I mean, I have pretty much all her books. She was the one I studied a lot in the beginning. She opened me up. Her books opened me up like crazy. Convoluted Universe. Whew, man.
Mhm.
But I said, I heard in an interview where she said, when I hear someone tell me that they're an old soul, that I, it makes me think they're just a slow learner. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah. But the lifetimes of that slowness
Yeah.
and getting the experiences and gaining on that and more time and patience and gaining on that, then you have this whole big package. Think of it like a suitcase. You have a big suitcase versus a tiny little briefcase.
Right.
I have
Right.
all those experiences wrapped in one. It might have taken me a long time to get here, but my soul's on a journey.
Yeah. And I do believe that we come here in this realm, um, drop down a frequency to experience everything there is to experience that we can on this planet in this realm. Because this is a pretty tough realm and a pretty dense, slow, like you said, slow frequency, slow moving realm. So it takes a while for things to happen, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And especially since I do believe our lives were shortened, then in order for us to have some kind of personal and spiritual progress, it a lot of times takes more than a lot of lifetimes, depending on our choices and how we traverse through our life. But when we used to live, what, 500-600 years or more, it was a lot easier to grow personally and spiritually, and all of it physically in one or two lifetimes.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think if we have unfinished business in one life, we come and we incarnate again in that
totally.
lifetime. Anyone that does astrology will tell you um, your birth time and date when you come in. that's like the ending of the last life. So you're picking up your story so they can go back a little bit where the planets right before that. Oh, you're bringing all this information in because of
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, what you lived through, you know?
Yes, I agree. I totally, and I do believe, and I had an epiphany one time that not that long ago, a few years ago, I was raised Catholic. That the Catholic Church says that to teaches that we're born in sin. I believe that that is a take on the kind of twisted that fact that you just spoke to, where we come into another lifetime carrying our stuff, what we haven't resolved, and what we haven't healed, anything like that in our ancestral stuff too. So I believe that that's the twist on that, because how can a baby be born in sin? It doesn't make any sense. But
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense, that we come in bringing our karmic stuff to
Yeah,
me.
that we're here to heal. And if your story ended soon, let's say because we're both mediums, you died at 14, maybe that ended too soon. So the next life you've got to start back at that incarnation of, oh, you had this other lesson to learn. Get back in there and go finish that.
Right? Did you ever read the book Journey of Souls?
Uh-huh. By Michael Newton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I love I've read them both a couple times, but that's kind of spirituality 101 there. It's everyone should read Journey of Souls
Mhm.
and Destiny of Souls anytime during your spiritual path.
Awakening.
Awakening. Yeah, it's on audio too. But I remember this one example. I will say that, just to share anyone who hasn't read it, is that Michael Newton is a doctor who was a hypnotherapist, and he would hypnotize people for things like weight loss and to smoking cessation and things like that. All of a sudden, his clients or his patients were popping up talking about in between lives where they had died, and they were talking about planning their next life. And he's like, what is going on here? So he was able to write books on it, on the information. It just started coming, like with Dolores Cannon, with her patients, her clients, where all that information started coming. And there was this one example that I thought was so funny, where this young man did something to cause his own death, and he ended up getting in. When he died, he was with all his friends on the other side, and they were laughing and having a party and laughing about how he messed up and died. It was hilarious. So and we tend to take this life too seriously. Wouldn't you agree with that?
100%. And I signed up to take it serious, I think, sometimes because my husband's always telling me, like, no, it's not so bad. I'm like, I got work to do. Focus, focus, focus. I think I came in as like a woodpecker where you're just going, 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 And there's another book your thought triggered me with the Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. Yeah, where he talks about the lives in between lives and the stories under hypnosis. And wow, you want to go down a rabbit hole. Start your
Yes.
spiritual awakening with any of that.
Oh, totally. Yeah, those are amazing books, and everyone needs to read those for sure. Yeah. So I have a question about your mediumship abilities. How did you realize that you were a medium, or was that as a child, or did that come after
It came
raising?
later. It came later
Okay.
with training, but as soon as I started training, I knew I'd been doing it all my life. I didn't know that. I knew that I could walk into a grocery store and look at someone, for example, and say, "Oh, she's pregnant. Oh, she's having a breakup. Oh, he just lost his dad." I didn't know why. I didn't see spirit. It wasn't any of that. It was a knowing. And when I started doing mediumship, I realized, oh, this is like my strength. Claircognizant is one of my strengths. So you knew all these things. I'm attaching all this information into this little body wherever I would go. And I didn't know about like shielding myself and blocking other people's energy or anything like that. I just was like, I'm really smart. I know all this about people. But it would come in the moment. And that's how intuition is. It works moment by moment by moment. I like to tell people, when you want something from the universe, you have a question, let's say, should I marry this person? Should I move to France? Should I take this job? Whatever your question is, it could be as simple as what to make for dinner.
Mhm.
Ask the question and leave it out there in the universe, because you're going to get the answer quickly. It comes in the moment. It's not like you have to push it and ask now, should I get the job? Should I get to that? Should I apply for the job? The more you ask doesn't get you the answer. My pitch is stop pushing the elevator button. You're pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Here comes someone else. They're pushing it. We're all still waiting. It doesn't hurry the elevator, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop and pause and ask it once and walk away and let the answer come into you. And you're forcing and driving and scrunching and where's my intuition and where's my answer and I have to know, and you're kind of ruining it for yourself. You need to
Yeah,
soften.
you're blocking. Yeah, we're blocking. We're what I guess like to call, we're constricting our channel. Whereas if we're not taking everything so seriously, just know that it's there. Know that it's there.
Yeah.
It's everything, that all of our desires are right there. And this is what Christ teaches me. They're right there in the higher planes. We've already designed it for ourselves. That's why we have the desire. And so it's just a matter of us opening up and being able to receive.
Yeah.
And having patience. That's my number one lesson in this lifetime.
100%. I told you I was the woodpecker. I just have to keep going. Yeah. Oh, you mean we can stop for a minute? I didn't know that was even an option.
Right. So for mediumship though, did you start seeing spirits? Because I was seeing dead people as a kid all the time, and I didn't know what was going on, and it scared me because my family didn't tell me about it. There wasn't anyone in my family that knew about it. So were spirits coming to you, that kind of thing? Were you able to see them? And I'm just curious.
Yeah. Not as a child, or I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
My mother passed away in December of 1992, and we had lived in different states at the time. And this was way before my mediumship. I mean, my mediumship only came on board 6-7 years ago, right? So this was way before that, and way before cell phones. And I was at work one day, and I literally turned around, and there was a full apparition of my mother right in front of me, and I could see through her, but I knew it was her, 100% certainty. And in my soul, I knew your mother's just passed. I knew it. I knew it with everything I had. And so when I got off work that day, I went home, and this was back in the day where, again, we didn't have cell phones. So I had the little recorder, and the little light would beep, and you got a new message.
Yeah.
I saw that light, and I knew it was just another confirmation. My mother came to me, and now I'm seeing this light. So then I listened to the recording, and it was my grandmother telling me my mother had passed away. So that was my first visual. I like to, I guess I like to think that I feel more and sense more and know more than I see. I'm working on that with spirit because I'd love to see more. It's interesting though, now that I work, when I'm with a client, I'll see their loved ones. I will visually see angels around them at certain times. Not everyone has angels that stand with them. Doesn't mean they don't have them, but I can't see them. Or guides will come in, but that was my very first experience. So 30 some odd years ago.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I used to still see really clear when I was, after my head injury, I could see really clear, but then that went away as I explained to you before we started recording. My guidance, Christ was telling me, work with your other clairs, and we want to talk about the clairs too. You want to talk about that? Work with the other clairs because I was relying solely on my sight, my clairvoyance, which it is not good because I'm a feeler like you. I'm a feeler. I'm a knowing. I get information through a lot of clairs other than clairvoyance. It's not as clear as it was. My clairvoyance was so clear. It was like seeing you. I could see my guides in my room that way. But I was out of balance. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the more you do this kind of work or spiritual work or practice, the others come on as strong. I know everyone is born with them all, and then one stronger than the other. Think of this like you have maybe one dominant hand now, right, with my right hand instead of my left. It's not that you don't have two hands. This one's a little more dominant, a little more strong, and I'm always working that muscle so it's stronger. The others just have to come on board. And in my mediumship, they've come on board at different times. I rely on my knowing because I know that's what it is, but I've also learned to sit back. What do I see? What do I sense? What do I feel? And
Right.
explain, what do I taste? Some of that will come up in a reading, and oh, this is valid. This is important for you.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's a good point, because there's this, I noticed that there's this, how do I put it, word in the psychic mediumship world, okay, that a medium or a psychic medium is a clairvoyant, right? That is just sight, and that's a misnomer. That's not correct. In order to be a well-rounded psychic medium, you need to be able to have use of all your clairs, because like I was explaining, clairvoyance alone is not necessarily a good thing. Uh, and I find that you may not even be seeing something correctly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't like it when I hear that that the what's the word I'm trying to think of? The word that that you pin on somebody. You, don't make any sense. The label. Thank you. The label. See, I got it. The label that on psychic mediums is that they're a clairvoyant, and that's it's a label that I don't think is true.
I think this came from years ago when they were called seers, SEER,
Yeah.
a
Okay.
seer, and that
Right.
kind of stuck with what I'm seeing. I don't know if they used all the descriptions that we now know that, oh, I feel it, but in my mind's eye, I can see it, even though I'm feeling it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Yeah. Good.
I
So
agree.
you wanted to talk a little bit about the clairs,
Yeah.
maybe
So
how to work
let's
with
go
them.
back just for a minute. You was talking about clairvoyance, and if you're only using one, it's not good. Think of a car with four tires. Are you
Hmm.
only riding on one? No, you're riding on all four. So we have to use all of them.
Right.
So in my book, I talk about the clairs, and almost any spiritual teacher will. It's not just me. So
Hmm.
let's start from the top down. Clairvoyance is your third eye, what you see with your eyes closed, not just visuals of your daydreaming. What do you really see when you close your eyes? Do you see angels? Do you see guides? Do you see loved ones? Do you see other film? Do you see a movie playing out? Like that's that part of your soul expressing, here's the answer, here's the visions, here's the knowledge, blank, coming here. Um, Moving into kind of the heart area, the clairsentient, the clairfeeling. These are people that would walk into a room and I just feel something's off. Or maybe they're home cooking a meal and suddenly they get a feeling all over their body. I feel something's wrong with my child. I need to check on my child. I feel I need to call my mom. I feel or sense something immediately, right? I've got this. Claircognizant is a clear knowing, and I just know that I need to get in the car and drive down the street. I don't know why, but I got to do it, right? It's a knowing of immediate action, that other people don't know. That here you are acting on it, and you're doing it. Clairgustance is tasting. Sometimes I'll taste something if I'm sitting with a family. I'll suddenly maybe taste black licorice or a cigarette smoke or something like that. And that's where you're tasting, where no one else around you's tasting that. It's coming in as a sense, like your five senses, like sight, like hearing, like your taste buds, kind of thing. And then there's clairgustance. Yeah, I think that's the taste one.
True.
Then there's
Yeah.
clairalience. That's clear hearing,
Hmm.
where I hear voices, or I hear someone talking to me, I hear my name, and no one else is hearing it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
audience.
Awesome. Thank you. And I do believe that some people have some that are more pronounced than others, and that's okay. That's the way we are. That's how we're made up. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
here's a trick. If you
Mhm.
don't know what you are, ask or someone to tell you how you speak. So most people will say, I just know that to be true, or I feel that that's the case, or I see. They will say the word see or feel or know.
Right.
That will start to tell you, oh, that must be my Claire.
Right. The more pronounced part of us.
As you do descriptions with things or people or places. Yeah, that'll be a key word for you.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So one thing I find that is really important, I'm sure you write about this in your book as well and teach this, is being open to listening, because we're so busy in our mind all the time, and constantly talking in our mind, or maybe that's just me, I don't know, thinking, talking in our mind, because I have conversations with my guidance all the time. And so
Yep.
you have to say, listen, especially if I ask a question. Okay, listen. Like I just did a little while ago. Listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the answer comes in immediately, and you know it's coming from spirit, source, God, whatever you public calls it. It comes immediately. And when you talk yourself out of the answer, now you're in your ego. So go back to the first answer. That's what I teach my clients. Okay, so here's your answer. Yes, marry the person, right? And then your ego goes, that's stupid. Why would I do that? Blah, blah, blah. I don't like his family. Yet the answer is still marry the person, or whatever your answer is. Go back to the first answer you got, because that's going to be accurate for you. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to have feedback here, because there's people that through my clientele base, they'll say, I really felt like I needed to marry them. And I really felt like I needed to take this step. Yet we got divorced 2 years later. You did need to marry them. You listened to your intuition. What that brought you was experiences for your soul. You're using your ego to judge the situation of, look, I'm a failure. It didn't work, blah, blah, blah. You don't know what your soul gained in that time.
Yes, perfect. Perfect, because every experience is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if spirit was telling you yes, that means that there was a reason for you and your spouse to get together, maybe to solve unsolved karma, unresolved stuff, to have this a child, whoever it is, to bring that child into the world. There's lots and lots of reasons that we can't even fathom here in this dense realm. So yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I get that a lot too. And also it's because it makes sense. Well, I was getting information I needed to do this. And then, this happened.
And then people start doubting themselves, and they say, well, I did
Right.
this, and look how it turned out. You're looking at it all wrong. That's your ego sense. What does your soul say? Your soul say, look how much knowledge I got out of this. Wow. That is a lifetime in the 2 years or whatever that I gained in that period of time. I couldn't have learned it any other way. A friend couldn't have taught me. I couldn't have got it from a coworker. I had to physically experience the situation. Right?
Yes, totally. And also what I've learned is that from my own experience, that the people we have the biggest challenges with are our closest soulmates, I guess you can say, on the other side. Because they're the ones that will come to this realm and say, all right, well, I'll treat you like crap again so you can heal that. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a stranger that isn't a soul group member that you're close to that will agree to do that. That was a huge epiphany for me too during my healing process. And I realized, okay, I don't have to forgive anything because that person agreed, and vice versa. Yeah.
Of course, vice versa. What did we live in another life that we played a part or a martyr in their life?
Mm-hmm.
We get so judgmental and look what they did to me and how they hurt me, and I'm still in pain 20 years later. What did you do to them? We don't know. We don't know.
It's also right, totally. And and it takes awareness to come to that conclusion for sure. Yeah. I also wanted to mention that there was something there. It went right out of my head. That's all right. We were talking about listening. So what is your advice on helping people be able to hear or understand their guidance? Because that's another thing, is that we have this expectation that we can need to be clearly hearing our guidance or seeing them or something like that. But like we talked about earlier, I believe it starts out subtle, and then you get bigger messages, and then it becomes subtle again because you're listening to yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we've all been trained to listen to loud things, loud noises, the freeway, the barking dog, the phone, the this.
Yeah.
We're trained for loudness. We've underdeveloped our skill to just listen to the quiet. So when it comes in, it's quickly ignored. So all we're going to do is switch our thinking to, what was that subtle thing? Why do I feel like suddenly here I am making dinner and my mom popped in my head? Do I need to check on my mom? Or
Right.
or you tell yourself as you're making your soup, oh, I feel like I got to call my mom, but I got to go get the kids from soccer and I got to get them from school and I got to do this. And you got this line up in your head. You've just talked yourself out of the first thought. So you go do all these things. And maybe at the end of the night, you finally check on your mother and she says, oh, at 3:05 today, I fell down and cracked my ankle or something. You had a
Right.
thought in the moment. You talked yourself out of it with all these other things. And it was very subtle. It's just your soul saying, hey, awareness here. Yet the agenda was louder. Right? So I teach people to get quiet and practice on a daily basis. Truly sit with yourself for a few minutes. And intuition is in the body, so you want to listen to your body. You don't want to listen to your head. Neck down. Check out of your head and your thoughts and the busyness and work and play and kids and whatever, to check out and just listen to the body. Sit there. Just sit with your body for a moment. Take a few breaths. How do my toes feel? How do my legs feel? How do my hips feel? And you can ask a question to the universe while you're doing this. But right now, we want to get acclimated to the body, the density of the body, because we chose the body. So it's the vessel that you're going to get the answers in. It's almost like turning on the radio. There's the song. I can't get it any other way unless I turn on the radio. So tune into the body and practice living in the body and the stillness in the body. The body's not chaotic. We've made it chaotic.
Right.
We create chaos in our life subconsciously. Right? We'll turn on the radio real loud. We'll yell at the kids. Here's a popsicle. Here's this. We're talking loud. We're talking over everyone. We've forgotten that we need to come into the quiet. And some people can't stand quiet. I have friends that can't shut off their music, that can't stop being on their phone. When we come into the stillness, this is why meditation is so great. And I don't believe people have to sit in 30 minutes of meditation, dark room, and chant. I'm saying just be still, sit out in the sunshine, take a few breaths. What is coming in for you in that moment? This is your opportunity to be still so spirit can get in and give you the information, or just be still, shut the music off for a minute, just be quiet in the house, all the things, be still.
And it feels so good when you do, when you,
100%.
yeah.
And when you're on the spiritual journey, you crave it more. I want quiet. Leave me alone. You're too loud. Go shut the door. Go play outside. I need the stillness.
Yeah. Yeah. I call it just unplugging from the outside world and going within, because that's where everything's real anyway, within. Yeah. And chanting is fine too. But
oh, totally. I just don't believe you got to do that every day to get your answers. Do whatever. Some people meditate for 8 hours a day. I think it actually raises a vibration. That sound bowls, tones. I totally get that. I'm talking like on a regular everyday level. I don't think you need to sit there for 30 minutes and get up early. I think a few minutes a day of, I'm going to sit in my car for 5 minutes before I go into work and be mindful of what is my body doing? What is my heart doing? Is it racing? Can I chill out? What is my gut saying? What is my body saying to me? Yeah. And speaking of body, when I go through the chakra system in my book, I talk about your body will give you the answers for everything if you just listen. For example, you might go into work every day and, you're starting to sweat and you can't figure it out, but you're like, I got to go to work, got to get the paycheck, got to do, but you're getting these heart palpitations. You're getting sick every time you get to the parking lot. Like, it is telling you, this is toxic. It's time to go. It's time to go. Yet I'm overriding it with my head, right? Or maybe a bad relationship, or maybe a bad boss, or, something. Your body will tell you. How many people have walked into a room? Let's say we went to a party and I don't really want to go, but I'm going to go because my friend's there. And I walk in and all of a sudden I'm feeling, sensing, knowing, or seeing in my mind's eye of, I don't want to be here. My body just said, hell no. So your body language will start to turn. You'll like cross your arms because you'll block your solar plexus. You'll start to turn towards the door. And it's subtle. We're not even paying attention. We're here talking to our friend, yet my body's saying, I'm out of here.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
The body just doesn't lie to you. And if you start listening to your body, you'll have the answers.
Right. And also, our body will tell us when something's wrong physically as well, not just spiritually, emotionally. Yeah. I mean, it all leads to the physical if we're out of balance with something, and it's continuous.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. We do ignore those signs too.
And when I go through the body and the chakras, I start at the root and I say, okay, the root is the bottom chakra. This is where you're going to feel your energy and intuition. It's not in the gut always. I go through the whole chakras. The root is moving forward to something or standing still. What does my body want to do? Do I want to take the job? Do I want to go in this relationship? Do I feel eager, or is it like, oh, my body, it just feels so tight, don't want to? This is where, if you're not listening to your intuition, you could have hip problems, you could have knee problems, leg problems, things that are moving forward in life. You've stopped that, or you have pain there and you're continuing to do it, right? I'm still going to the job every day, but I always have this hip pain. Well, what are you moving? What are you moving energetically, or what are you limiting your movement in? Right?
Right.
And then I move up into the sacral chakra, where it's that pelvic area of a creation. This is the birthing area in males and females. What do I want to give birth to? Do I want to create a new business? Do I want to paint? Do I want, what is my creation? And if I'm stifling that and holding that back, you may have pelvic problems. You may have female, organ problems, or male prostate problems. If you're limiting that in that area, this is your intuition saying, let's work through this, let's go, let's do. And you're like, nope, nope, nope. So some people have, problems getting pregnant. Well, maybe they're not being creative enough in their life, or allowing themselves to be creative in their life, that they're limiting that, right?
Yeah.
And then I move up into the stomach, and this is where everyone thinks this is where I feel my intuition. The solar plexus is bigger. It's a little bit bigger. That's why there's more space. So you feel it more there, but it doesn't mean it's the only area you're receiving your intuition. This area is your area of willpower. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Or is someone in my mind telling me, you're not worthy of that? You're never going to be a leader. You're never going to be a CEO. Am I believing that, right? Am I limiting where I have this drive to go and do and be? Or am I letting my willpower teach me? This is why the body's so great. Like I said, we might be at a party and suddenly your arms cross and you hang them over your belly. You're actually blocking energy coming in and out of the solar plexus. So I don't want to be here. I'm stopping the flow of energy that I'm in and out of receiving here. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was remembered that it's so important to work with our chakras. So important because we hold trauma, and we hold things in our chakras that we haven't healed. And I didn't realize how really visceral that was until I had an experience, which I write about in my book, where I remembered a past life, and Christ helped me with this, a soul retrieval, where I had lost a couple children. One was a 3-year-old boy. And one night I lay down to go to bed and everything just disappeared, in just this short version. And this beam of light, I was dreaming about a little boy. Before that, I was dreaming about a little boy who was lost and looking for his mommy. Okay, I didn't put it together. I was trying to help him to find his mommy, but I didn't realize, who he was. But a beam of light comes down, hits me in my solar plexus. And I see this little boy curled up in a fetal position, the same little boy as in my dreams, rise up in that beam of light, beautiful golden flakes, and rise up in that beam of light. And I could hear this angelic music all the way up. And then the ceiling came back because it disappeared and came back. And then I hear this voice, "It is done." So I realized that I was holding that little boy, the memory of that little boy, his energy in my solar plexus, because lots of reasons. I felt guilty for his passing. I was grieving terribly for him. I had lost my brother in the war. It was during the Civil War. And so it was a really profound retrieval for me. And I'm like, I was holding him in my chakra. Never in a million years would I think that we would be holding that type of trauma in our chakras. But they're portals, right? They're portals to our higher parts of us, to our other bodies, energetic bodies. What do you think about that?
I think that's beautiful. I think he was in your center of willpower for a reason. He was here to teach you. If you lost him in that life, and you probably felt like I'm losing my will to live because my child died, right?
Yes.
Maybe you came into this life with that. Do I have the strength to go on? Do I have the courage to go on? And if he showed up in that chakra and that's what you saw, I think it ties into your own willpower and the strength that he gave you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was a very profound experience for me. It taught me so much about the chakras and how much we do carry. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a woman I follow, and I'll name drop here, Marie Manucherry. She says our chakras should go out like 8 city blocks. The energy should be that healthy that it goes out that far. And
Yeah.
society, we've programmed it to stay in my own little house, shut the door, lock the door. I think COVID added even more to that,
Yes.
of seclude, seclude, seclude. Yet we are actually connecting beings. We're supposed to
Mhm.
be saying hi to the neighbors and, seeing all these things and absorbing what it is to teach us. And I honestly don't think mine go out that big because I'm pretty restricted of work and minimal play and work. And I'd like to have more play. But yeah, when she told me that, my mind was like, how can that possibly be? No wonder us empaths, we walk into Walmart, and if your chakras are that huge, you're filling the front door all the way to the produce
Well,
section.
right. Yeah, totally. It makes sense that well that we would be like that because we lived in times in our history where we weren't in such structured homes. They were more flexible, organic, I guess you could say, and
Yeah.
we mingle with our tribes,
and
with each
and maybe
other.
that knowing and the sensing of they need me over there, and I'm open to receive it. I'm not restricted by a house or restricted by a car or restricted
Right,
by a block of some sort.
right. Yeah, and Krystal, it makes me think of how we are taught. Uh, and I'm kind of on the fence with this a lot with psychic protection. Okay, and I hear a lot of people talk about don't, like you said, don't expand your aura too far because you're too out there, you're too open, that type of thing. And I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you feel
I've
about that?
heard both sides of the fence. Don't do it. Others leave it. My personal belief is as long as you're shielding your own energy, I do it on a daily basis. And I
Hmm.
say it in the shower, and I'm allowing that water to come in and rinse me off. And I'm protecting my body in light and love and no harm to come to me. And I'm leaving that alone. That's as far as I go every day. I don't have a big ritual. I've never had a problem with anyone coming into my life to destroy anything in my life. And I know that's enough for me. Other people light a candle, have the obsidian, have all the selenite, go to extreme. But what you're doing is telling your mind and body, I need this stuff to protect me. I need this. God gave this beautiful body of everything you'll ever need. Everything you'll ever need. That's
Yeah,
my feeling.
I agree. I do believe that. I mean, we want to be big, right?
We are big.
Right, and we want to become these full embodied light beings as much as possible. That's why we came here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another reason why we came here, basically, to remember who we are, which is light and love, and help others remember who we are, light and love, because we're all one. And
Mm-hmm.
so we want to be big. We want to reach as many people, as many situations as possible. I just don't like the idea of brag- hiding our light. You know what I mean? Which would be our aura.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree with you. If you have that belief or knowing that you're protected anyway, and you have a ritual and you envision it, and during all my sessions, I envision golden white light and all that. And during my daily uh, um, rituals, but yeah, and so it's we're programmed, like you said, we're programmed to be small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's the unlearning that we're like, oh no, I'm going to expand now. And when we go into these expanded states of meditation where they're just like, take it out further, expand even more, and be even bigger than you are, that's where the awareness comes in as, oh, I'm just a body. My soul's this big.
Right.
This is just the vessel I'm in. This is the vessel I chose for this lifetime. Maybe another lifetime, me as a female, I might have been a male. Maybe I, was a child before I passed. It's just a different vessel. Your soul's huge. I mean, it's as big as the universe.
Yes, it
And we
is.
want to be that, yet at times when we're hurt or there's grief, being a medium, I deal with a lot of people in grief, we
Mhm.
constrict it. We hold it in. I don't want to be hurt anymore. I don't want any, stay away, people. We really
Right.
constrict. When we're doing the work and you're doing it right, you can expand in those states and you're still protected and you're still aware. In fact, the more you go, the higher awareness it is. You're picking up vibrations from other people. It's like an antenna, right? Everywhere you're going, what's this person? What's that person? What are they doing? Not that we're doing it on person or on purpose, but it's coming in.
Yes.
The knowledge is coming in.
Right. Fascinating. I love these conversations. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
it's
being here.
fantastic to have
Yeah,
another
totally.
medium knowing all the different things. I'd love to hear something quick from you.
Mhm.
What's your favorite like mediumship story? What's something someone told you that just kind of just blew your mind?
Oh gosh.
I mean, you've had your own stories, I know,
Yeah,
that are mind
yeah.
blowing. But how about with a client?
Something told me that blew my mind. Nothing blows my mind anymore. uh, you caught me off guard.
Got
I'd
to
have to
think
think
about it.
about that.
We can
Yeah,
come back to it.
yeah. I actually don't remember readings
Okay,
because,
good.
yeah, I can't keep it in me.
Yeah,
We had enough already, but yeah. If I think of something, I'll share it.
yeah, I
Do you
threw
have
that out
one?
there. I have a lot. I repeat kind of the same ones because they stand out to me. But I once had a reading with a gal in spirit, and her father had crossed over. I mean, not a gal in spirit. I was talking to my client, and her father was in spirit, and as I was giving her the reading, and this is early on in my mediumship, maybe the first year or so, I kept seeing someone in costume, like a Halloween costume, dressed up. And I knew it was her father because he was giving me all this evidence. He was in the military and he was telling me her birthday and all the evidence that came through. And I kept saying, "But your dad is in costume." She's like, "No, no, he never dressed up for Halloween. No, no, no." Kept telling me no, but I knew what I was seeing, sensing, and feeling. So I kept giving it to her. By the end of the hour, I said, "I'm just going to leave it one more time because it's clear for me. Your dad's in a costume, big head, big body, whatever." And she said, "No, but he used to dress up every month as Smokey the Bear and come to my school."
Yeah,
That was a costume for me, and that's what I was getting.
that is a
She
costume.
she couldn't put two and two together. Her dad
Yeah.
didn't dress in a Halloween costume. It was a whole different costume for her. And so that's where it gets a little tricky with mediumship. But for me, it was like so much evidence of I can't make this stuff up.
Right. Okay. While you're telling that story, it does remind me of one, something like that. It was written, and this one sits with me because it was so funny. It was in the beginning of my career. I was doing one of those spirit psychic fairs things, and a gentleman sat down with me, and his brother came through, and he of course died before, not of course, but he died before his time, and I told the gentleman, I said, "Did your brother have a bad back? Was there something wrong with his back? Because my back is hurting really bad." And going back to to the body, spirit will definitely communicate to us through our body. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. And so I'm like, "Oh, my back hurts." And so he goes, "No, no, he didn't have a bad back." I'm like, "Okay, well, my back is hurting like crazy." And so I went on a little bit, but I'm like, my back. And then comes out a little bit further through the reading that he died by being stabbed in the back.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of
But
course.
it was my interpretation, right? Yeah,
Because
interpretations.
it's what you're feeling. And you, as the medium, this is why we use all of our clairs. What am I sensing? What am I knowing? What am I feeling? And if I didn't
Right.
have that 2 seconds before, it's the client's or it's the person in spirit. It is not yours. Like if suddenly you
So,
didn't have that back pain, you sit down and ouch. Yes, because you've asked for this, you've opened this channel to how can I help this client? So that information's coming through loud and clear.
yes, and also if the sitter can't take it, the spirit will persist. It will persist.
Mm-hmm.
It will persist because, and I trust spirit, and I know that as the sitter, our minds are not. It's a lot of information coming through, and we don't remember
Yeah.
a lot of things. But so that's why I always say it keeps coming. So there's got to be something. So yeah, that was something that wouldn't go away until we finally figured it
and
out.
keep at it. And if you're a good medium and you're using ethics, you're tapping into the spirit world and you're getting the information for them, because they don't have a voice anymore. You're listening here first before the person in front of you. And this is where some early baby mediums get confused, because they're listening to the person in front of them. But what is your soul saying? You're connecting here. You're getting that information to share, almost tune out your client besides a yes or a no.
Right. Totally. Good
And
advice.
give them what you're giving,
Yes.
what you're getting.
That's exactly what I teach, because I trust spirit. They know what they know. And like we're talking about, the sitter doesn't always remember. Yeah.
Oh, so much. There's been so many things. I've sat with clients and I would say, oh, there's a baby coming in the family. No. No one in my family. My daughter's only 16. Better not. Da, da, da. And months later, I'll get a text back. Oh my God, you were right. My daughter got pregnant or whatever. I'm like, I listen to spirit. Sorry to tell you the bad news or good news in any case, but it's only because I was listening.
Yes. Yeah. And I have lots of stories like that too, where someone had lost I had a miscarriage or something like that. And they're like, no, baby. And then, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, spirit knows, they know. And I will say that when spirit wants, when our loved ones want whoever you're working with to get the message, they will not let you move on.
100%.
Yeah.
It will nudge and nudge and nudge. And that goes back to listening to your intuition. It will keep coming and it will keep coming up. Just because they don't use a voice, they're using every other access to you. Will you hear me? Can I touch you? Will you know this? Will you get the feeling? Will you get the knowing? And give it to my person and tell them I'm okay. And tell them all the other things too, it will keep coming. I always say if anything's repeated twice, absolutely. If it's repeated 3 times, it's truth.
Oh, that's so funny. That's what I say. I ask 3 times. If it keeps coming through the same way without any anything to change, it's coming through correctly. Yeah. Because I always say, okay, let me make sure I'm getting this correctly.
Yes.
Because, that's highly possible that we're not getting it through correctly.
Hey, we're humans. We're humans too. No medium, they've tested plenty out there. No medium is 100% accurate. Right. There's some that can be 80%, and that's pretty high, but nobody's going to 100% because the spirit world is in a different realm. You're speaking 2 different languages, honestly, and you're just refining to that. Right.
Just finding a medium. That's why we're called mediums, a medium ground. Yeah. And so by the third time it's still coming through. I'm like, okay, well.
Here, I'll take it for what it is, but here you go.
There you go. Totally. Well, Krystal, this has been a joy to sit with you and talk about all these amazing topics. Yeah. Would you like to share anything that you have coming up, or where people can buy your book and your website?
Sure.
Like good stuff?
Yeah, my book is Trusting Your Intuition and Connecting to Your Spirit Within, black cover with a lotus under my name, Krystal Parry. You can get it on Amazon. My website is Blossoming Medium. And I have classes all the way to the bottom of there. I usually do some on Zoom and some in person locally to where I'm at, because I have international clients. So they need a Zoom call or they need a class online. So scroll and see, I've got upcoming, I have a new psychic development class out. I've got tomorrow night, actually, I'm teaching an intuition class online. So there's 4 or 5 different things on there. Can't think of all of them right now. Events that I'm doing, but yeah.
Nice. That's exciting. Yes, totally.
I keep myself busy, I guess.
I hear you. Definitely. Well, thank you again for being here.
And thank you, my sweet girl.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate and we'll have to chat again because we got lots to talk about. All right. And thank you everyone for watching. And we'll see you again. I'm Sharon Kumara, and you have been listening to Awakened Soul Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. I invite you to embark on a transformative journey with us. Awakened Soul is a safe, sacred space for exploring the depths of our consciousness. Each episode, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. To connect with me, visit kumaraacademy.com.